In today's episode of my Sweden Chronicles, I'll be sharing with you my relocation journey. After my husband got to Sweden, he started processing for my daughter and I to come join him in Sweden. In July 18th, I got a mail from the Swedish embassy to come on the 3rd of August for biometrics. I was so happy. This is something I've been waiting for so long, so I was elated. Well, then unfortunately news broke out that there was going to be a protest on the 3rd of August, the same day that I had an appointment at the embassy. So my husband advised that instead of leaving, the plan was to leave Benin on the 2nd of August, then rest for that night, and then the following day go to the embassy, then back to Benin. So my husband said that since there's going to be a protest, that we shouldn't take any risk. So I should go like 3 days before our appointment. So that was what we did. I think I left 2 days before our appointment. So we just stayed in a hotel. So on the 3rd of August, I had to leave very early, leave the hotel very early. I already spoke with the cabman the day before and told him to come pick me at the airport, that I was going to the embassy. So we left early because I didn't want to be caught in the protest. So we left very early, and then by 7:30, no, I think 7, yes, I was already at the embassy. So we're waiting for the embassy to open. So when they eventually came, we waited outside till about 2 o'clock. And when I got there, some people also came to join me there. So we're all waiting outside. At about 2 o'clock, they started calling us in. But when we got in, we were told that I was told when I got in that their server was down, there was no network, so we should come back on Monday. The 3rd of August was a Friday, so we should come back on Monday. So I went back to the hotel, and then by Monday, I went back to the embassy. When I got to the embassy, we sat down as usual, then till about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock thereabout, and they started calling us in. When it got to my turn, the woman at the counter took my passport, took my daughter's passport. In fact, she scanned my daughter's passport, did my daughter's biometrics, everything was fine, there was no issue. When it got to my turn, my passport refused to read. It just wouldn't scan. I didn't know what was happening. And the woman at the counter wasn't even very helpful. She was just so dismissive. I said, I didn't make this passport by myself. It was given to me at the passport office. So if it's not working, it's not my fault. Then she gave it to her colleague. Her colleague also tried. They tried it on 3 or 4 different machines. It wasn't working. Then eventually I was told to go back outside. After a while, she called me back in, and then she told me that her boss just came back from lunch, that she wants to give the passport to her boss to take a look at it and everything. I sat down there for minutes. Eventually she came outside and said her boss has checked it and has written the immigration office that they don't know what the issue is with the passports. It was a lot of so much. I was just so discouraged because I was just so scared. I said, I've been waiting all this while for this, do this biometrics, and then eventually go and meet my husband. What is all this? I hope it will not cause any delay. I was just so worried. So eventually I was told to go back outside to go and sit. All these white people that came after I came there, they did their biometrics, they all went. In fact, each time anyone will come outside from the office, they will ask me, you're still here? What's the problem? What's the matter? I know how that kind of thing will make you feel. I just felt like, why is everybody's own working? Even my daughter's own worked. What is wrong? Why is my passport not working? Then so people will go in and come out with a smile on their face. And then after, I think around, in fact, I was there they forgot about me totally. Because when she called the last person, she said, last person, please. And we're still 2 outside. So she forgot that I was even there. I had to tell her, I said, it's not the last person. I told the guy that was going in that, please tell her that somebody is still outside, that you are not the last person, that somebody is still outside. And the lady she attended to is still waiting. So I was just thinking to myself that did she expect me to just get up and start going after taking that terrible trip from Benin to Abuja? So I'll just come to Abuja, get nothing done, and then go back to Benin just like that. No. So when the guy got in, I think he told her, because after I was done with the guy, I didn't even once I saw the guy coming out, I just went in. And when she saw me, she said, okay, I should bring my passport. She did everything. It still didn't work. So she now manually entered my details. I was just thinking to myself that if you could do this all this while, why didn't you just do it? Why did I have to wait? All this while, I was there for hours. I've been there since 7 in the morning. Imagine, from 7 in the morning till 5 in the evening. No food. My daughter was with me. She was hungry. I was hungry. In fact, it was not funny at all. It was very, no, I don't know, it was a bad experience. So she entered my details manually. I did my biometrics, then signed and left. But I was so worried. I said, I hope this thing will not work against me. That because I know that, like I said before in one of my videos, I said before I came to Sweden, I had not been on a plane before. I had never been to an airport. I don't know how it works. I don't know airports culture. I don't know what I just didn't know how anything worked. So I was telling myself, I said, I hope when I get to the airport, this will not be an issue, because I know that same passport will still be scanned at the airport. At least I knew that much. Later I came out of the office. I called my husband and told him what happened. So he called the passport office. The guy that helped us with the passport called him, and the guy said everything is fine with the passport, that there's no problem with the passport. But why was he not reading? He couldn't explain. So my husband said not to worry, that I should just go to the hotel room to go and relax and at least get food and go, just relax. So I did that. In the night, I prayed. I prayed like never before, because I just told myself this opportunity to leave Nigeria is not going to pass me by. I just had to leave this country. So I just talked to God and I slept. But of course, I couldn't sleep because I was just so worried. The following day, I went to the park, got into the bus, and then went back to Benin. When I got to Benin, I was torturing myself. I went online. I was asking to see what happens. What happens when your passport does not scan? What happens when your passports? What are the signs of damaged passports? I was just scouring the internet. I was searching. I just tormented myself all those while. Something in me just couldn't give it the rest. I was just too worried. I was worried. I was overwhelmed with the whole thing. I couldn't even be. I was not joyful. Something like that. You have done biometrics. When people do their biometrics, they come back with so much joy. They're happy. They're okay, at least. But in my own case, because of my experience at the embassy, I couldn't rejoice. Fast forward to October, my husband told me that he got a mail that my resident permit and my daughters are ready, that we should go to the embassy to go pick them up. I was elated. I was so happy. I was super happy. Finally. So to confirm, I called the embassy, but they told me, in fact, I called several times. They usually not picked up. And you can only call, they have just about 1 hour window for calls. You can only call them between the hours of 2 to 3, but nobody was picking my calls. So I wrote a mail. When I wrote the mail, after about 2 days, they replied and said that there was no such thing, that my permit was not with them. But I said that we were written from Sweden, that they sent it over. They said they've not seen anything like it. I wrote to them about 3-4 more times. They kept telling me they've not seen it. So when I tell my husband, he will reach back to the immigration here, and they will tell him that they've already sent it to Nigeria, that we should go back to, call the embassy and ask them that they've sent it. So that back and forth happened for about 2 weeks. We were on it before the embassy of Sweden in Nigeria now confirmed that indeed they have my permit. So because of my experience going from Abuja Benin to Abuja and back from Abuja to Benin, I told myself there was no way I was going to pick that permit up by myself. So I decided to use the courier service. Big mistake. I used the popular courier service, and then they told me that I would get it in 2 days. And mind you, because the permit had been released, my husband already bought a ticket for my daughter and I for the 12th of November. So I employed the courier service, and they told me I was going to get it in 2 days' time. After the 2 days elapsed, I didn't get anything. I called them back. They told me, I shouldn't worry, that they've not gotten it. They just kept giving me different excuses. To cut the long story short, I was to travel on the 12th of November. By the 8th of November, the courier service was telling me that they had still not gotten my cards. I was so in fact, I was at this point I was disorganized. I said, in fact, when I was talking with the guy on the phone, I was talking so tough because I was so mad. I said, do you know what you have cost me? Do you know what you are doing at all? I called the guy. I said, look, my husband. I called my husband. My husband was so angry. He told me I didn't follow them up enough. That there was so many back and forth because of course he has already paid all this money for the flight ticket for my daughter and I, and then God forbid, how is it going to sound that then we couldn't get on the flight because we didn't have our permits. So immediately he told me to go to another courier service. And also I use this particular courier service because they're very popular. They are very popular in Nigeria, and people use them a lot. But I think the first red flag was when I went to their office and they were so dismissive in their they were not organized at all. If I had known, I should have just used another courier service. For some reason I just felt, oh, they have a big name, they would know, they have a solid brand. I just went ahead and used them. But after they disappointed me, after the guy called me on that 8th, in fact, I was one that even called the guy. He was not even giving me any feedback. I had to call him. Even when I called him, he was being shady. He was not being straightforward. Eventually, I had to ask him, please, do you have my card or not? He said he didn't have it. So I knew I had to make an alternative. So I went to another courier service, FedEx. I went to FedEx on Saturday. The woman told me, she said, okay, she'll see what she can do, but there's no guarantee that she would. I had to start begging. I said I had to travel on Tuesday, and that I have to leave Benin first because there's no international airport in Benin, so I have to leave Benin, go to Lagos, so I can take the flight from Murtala Mohammed Airport. So she said, okay, she see what she can do. So she called her colleagues and then she told me that I should not worry, that I should pay so amount, and that I should come the next day, on Sunday. Normally they don't work on Sunday, but she just made me a favor that when the goods come from Lagos, that my permit will be in it. But she called one of her colleagues in Abuja to go collect the permit for me in Abuja, go to the embassy, collect the permit. So when I go back home by around 12:30, 12:30 in the afternoon, I received a mail from her that she sent me a picture of the permits in the sealed envelope. I was so happy. So now the next thing was for it to actually get to my hands. So by Sunday after church, in fact, at some point after in church, I led the praise and worship that day because I'm a chorister in church. At some point I was crying because I don't know, I was just so, there were just so many things going through my mind. This is on Sunday. I was to travel on Tuesday, as I don't have a document I was traveling with. So I was just pouring out my heart to God in tears. So after church, I called this woman. She was not picking. I was a little bit scared. My pastor told me not to worry, that it was going to work out, that I shouldn't worry. So eventually, she called me back and told me she was in church. That's why she couldn't pick my call, that I should go to their office. She gave me an address. I got there. I met some guys there. I was so scared, in fact, because imagine the only woman in the midst of about 4 or 5 men. I just sat down there. They told me that they are still expecting the truck. The truck is not here yet. The truck was coming from Lagos. After I was there for about an hour or two, then the truck came in. Oh my God, I was so happy. But then I needed to see the permits. So when they got there, they went to check the goods that came from Lagos, and then they gave me my package. I was so happy. As I was going, I couldn't even wait to get home to check what was in the passport. I opened it right there and there on the road, checked my name, my daughter's name, checked that they were correct, the spellings were correct. I was so full of joy. I was so full of joy. So I got home. Of course, I was already arranging 1 or 2 things before then. So when I got home, I just did the final arrangements, gathered my bags, my things, and then by Monday, the following day, I moved to Lagos. So when I got to Lagos, God bless his family, Mr. and Mrs. Guega. They took my daughter and I in because I didn't have anywhere to stay in Lagos, so they took us in and we were with them throughout that day. They were so warm, they were so hospitable. And then the following day, her husband, that's Mr. Guega, took us to the airport. In fact, of course, all this while I still had this fear in me, because don't forget that the passports didn't read. That's my own passport, did not read at the embassy. So I had this trepidation, like, God, would this thing really read? I don't know, I was just so scared. But all my fears were for nothing, because at all the points that the passport was scanned, it scanned well. There was no issue. There was nothing. In fact, the first place it was scanned, I was physically trembling, but there was no problem at all. It didn't give me any issue. We got on the flight, from Lagos to Addis Ababa, from Addis Ababa to eventually to Alanda. There was no problem at all with the passport. Everything was so fine. I'm just really grateful to God, and so far so good. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in my next video.